What's up and welcome back to my channel. I'm Diana and I'm the founder of Money Boss Mama, and in this video we are going to switch it up just a little bit. I know that I have a lot of single moms who are a part of this community and they watch me, they follow my tips and my journey, and I find that I get a lot of DMs and emails asking about child support, mainly if I get child support, and if I do, how I go about budgeting it. And unfortunately I do not, but I've had plenty of clients who have child support or have been receiving child support, and so I'm just going to give you a couple of quick tips that are going to help you if you are receiving child support payments or if you are expecting to receive them. So if this is the video that you need, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and let's get started. All right, so it is important to know what child support should cover, and obviously that's going to be the basic necessities of the child. So that's going to include food, that's going to include safe and comfortable housing, which also includes rent and utilities, transportation costs, childcare, education and school supplies, clothing, things like that the child is actually going to need. And now if you do have some type of plan in place, you will need to follow that court-ordered plan, or if you want to be extra careful, you can just do a quick Google search and then look up what expenses child support should cover in your state. And before we get into the budgeting side of child support, it is extremely important for me to set the record straight and just advise what child support is not. And it may be a little different from what you are expecting or what you have seen, especially on social media, because I know the topic of child support is very, very touchy. People get in their feelings about it, but child support is not, it's not an insult. It's not a luxury. It is owed to you. It's not a reason to feel bad about your financial accomplishments if you are receiving child support. And most importantly, it is not a reflection of your character. I don't believe that you are a bad person if you are receiving child support. You are someone who had a child, and that child deserves 50-50 financial support. Now, when it comes to the budgeting side of things, obviously when you are receiving child support, that is taking some of your expenses away, or the weight of the expenses, and that gives you more money to work into your budget. And so here are 3 quick tips that are going to help you make sure to maximize these child support payments and kind of keep everything organized. First tip is to create a separate budget. I always recommend separating your child support payment from your main income, and that's because I noticed with clients when we were trying to lump in both income sources together into one budget, it got really confusing for them to decipher what expense should be paid from which income source. And I say this because your child support payment is probably going to come in on a day that's not your payday. And so you want to separate out your main job's income, or whatever your main income is, that has its own budget, and then child support will have its own budget. That way you can clearly see which expenses child support should cover based on the payment date and when those expenses are actually due. Next tip that I have is to budget your essentials first using your main job's income, or your main source of income that's not your child support. Unfortunately, sometimes the child support payments do not come through, and you want to make sure to have a backup plan and be proactive just in case this happens. So I recommend making 2 versions of your main income sources budget. One that includes the child support payment going through, and one that includes the child support payment not going through. And that way you know that your essentials and the essentials of the child are going to be taken care of. And now obviously the budget version that has the child support payment not coming through is going to be a lot tighter, and it's going to require more sacrifices on your end, but still at the end of the day, it's going to be a good feeling knowing that you should have all of your essentials taken care of. And so rent's going to be paid on time and utilities are going to be paid on time. So you're not going to be sitting in the dark due to an unpaid light bill, which also brings me to another point. Whenever you are creating your child support budget and listing out what expenses should be paid from it, obviously it needs to be essential for the child, but you also don't want to put in those expenses that are top priority. Like, you know, you need rent covered, you need utilities covered. Anything that you can take from your main source of income that's really important and vital to living a safe and comfortable life, put it in your main income sources budget. That way, if something happens, the child support payment is late, maybe it did not come in, it's not causing such a huge disruption in your day-to-day life because those expenses are already taken care of. Third tip that I have is to work in a buffer. So I believe, child support or not, every single budget should have a buffer. And this is going to be an amount that you assign that is actually unassigned because it doesn't have a specific expense or purpose besides to be there to absorb anything that you have come over budget or to be there to catch any unexpected expenses. So when you are working on your main source of income's budget as well as your child support budget, you're going to include a line that says buffer and then put in the buffer amount that you want to include every single time. It does not have to be a super high amount. It can be as low as $15 to $20, but it is there whenever you need it. And if you don't need it, then those buffers are going to start building you a safety net in the account that you have them sitting in. So for an example, let's say that you set a $15 buffer every single paycheck. That means that if you don't need that $15 or if you don't use it, next payday it will become $30 and then $45, and then you kind of get the point. I built up an over $500 safety net. Now mind you, it's taken a few years, but I have a $500 safety net, probably more than that in my bills account, just because whatever amount that I come under budget on my expenses, I just leave it in the account and then it has built up a safety net that way. Whenever you are new to budgeting, you want to set a higher buffer because you're going to have hiccups. Life is going to happen, especially when you have kids. But as you get used to staying within these certain amounts, you can lower the buffer down to however much you feel comfortable based on how well you stay on your budget. All right, ladies, so that wraps up this quick video on how I recommend budgeting child support payments. If you receive child support payments, leave me down some additional budgeting tips down below just for anyone who is scrolling through the comments, and I will catch you all in the next one.